want to welcome Amos Hochstein. He is Special Presidential Coordinator for Global Infrastructure and Energy Security. And Amos, thank you for being here in studio. It's great to see you.
It's great to be here. Really.
Sort of, right?
No. Even with all this, it's great to be here. It's better than being cold.
Well, people didn't hear us. People didn't hear us off camera.
But terrorized since he walked in the door.
We've already settled that it's a good idea. So I guess I hope you've alerted your overseers that you're going to go and suddenly support this proposal.
No, let's talk about the legislation that Congress is considering right now that would limit the ability to draw down anything else from the SPR.
Unless it's not limiting it unless you open up some federal lands. Open up for a 5% drawdown. You open up 5% federal lands for drilling and leases.
So let's level set about what we're really talking about. The SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, is there so that if we have an emergency, meaning a natural disaster, a hurricane, or if we have a foreign policy emergency, a war, anything that really restricts our ability to affect the market, that affect the markets, right? This started.
Wait. That's where you're stretching.
No. So
because we didn't have that, and you did it.
Well, the SPR is there because in the 1970s, we had an emergency where foreign producers cut their production, their exports. So we needed to have a reserve that if a foreign policy emergency that will affect our ability to have enough oil in the market is restricted, we have something to do with that. Look, we had a war that started this year, last year, almost a year ago exactly. And that war, when Russia invaded Ukraine, Russia's the third largest oil producer in the world. Right. So that was immediately going to have an impact. Oil prices jumped to over $120 a barrel. That
our supply wasn't threatened. Well, there was a midterm coming up, and gas prices were $4.50.
There was coming up.
Events. There's always a midterm.
There's always an election coming up. In that case, we never use it.
So
look,
price can be an emergency.
No, what's an emergency is when we have a war in the middle of Europe, where supplies were being restricted. As the fear of the supply being restricted alone is what jumped the price. Nothing else happened in the market outside of that war that necessitated a price to go from $80 to over $120 a barrel. That is because there was a scarcity fear and an emergency, which is the war. We tapped the president decided to tap the SPR right away at a historic level. That price went down as a result of 180 million barrels being released in the market in the United States over a period of 6 months. And by the way, we didn't do it alone. Our allies contributed as well and released oil as well from their reserves in order to be able to make sure that the alliance was united and that Russia knew that playing the energy card that they had was not going to break up NATO, was not going to break up the international alliance. And guess what? I know it's hard, but it worked.
Let me just say, let's forget politics for a moment. I mean, I've talked to engineers about this who say that we have drawn down the SPR to levels that it wouldn't be safe to draw down much more from here. That you're talking about structural, these are caves where the oil is stored, and if you draw it down much more, you're going to be looking at an issue where some of those caves could collapse. I mean, that's a concern.
I think that's an alarmist view. We have experts
I've talked to people who are engineers who I trust on this. Not from a political standpoint. That's what
we don't play politics with safety. Yeah. And the SPR folks are managing quite well. There's going to be a bunch of maintenance that's going to happen this year, in the next several months. We definitely have reduced the level in the SPR to about 370. We've also worked with Congress, and Congress canceled the congressionally mandated sales of about 140 million barrels from 2024 to 2027. So it's been canceled. So the market, when they make assumptions of how much oil is going to be available for emergency, now know there's going to be 140 more in there. We have mandated sales this year that Congress is going to force us to sell about 25 million barrels, give or take. So we're going to do those as Congress mandated. We do have enough to be able to respond to additional emergencies if they should come. But we wanted to give time for the private sector to increase production. They've had high prices, so it's their job now to increase production, increase their CapEx.